Hello, everyone. How are we doing tonight? It's good to know you're out there. It's good to know I'm here. Welcome to another live stream Art Hive from the Living Room Community Art Studio. My name is Mary Cronert, and I'm happy to be here. The sun is out, it's setting, but it's here. I'm here, and tonight's theme is coping with fabric, or fabric and coping, however you want to look at it. We're focusing on the theme of coping, so I think it's not such a bad thing if any one of us are out there just doing our best to hang in there, to do our thing, to be present tonight, to enjoy what we can, take care of ourselves. All of those things have to do with coping. And to tell you what, I'm in a coping kind of headspace this evening, and that's not a bad thing. We had a wonderful Zoom group this morning because I know we're throwing everything off with having a live stream on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday. Of course, for those of you who watch us when we're archived, doesn't matter what day it is. And I'm glad you're here too, by the way. But we had a wonderful Zoom group this morning where we were exploring what coping is to us, what it looks like, what it can be, why we do it, all the different ways it happens in our lives, why it happens in our lives. And I think it's a good theme. It can be a heavy theme as well as a light theme. So I'd like to remind everybody, hey everybody, I'd like to remind everybody to take care of yourselves tonight. So this is perhaps a good time to visit the general guidelines of Living Room live stream Art Hive life. Yes, take care of yourselves. That's the most important thing. If you need to take a break or walk away or do whatever, that's okay. I'm not going to take it personal. If you need to stop and revisit this on another night once it's been archived, that's okay too. If you are sitting at home and like, hello, One Hummingbird Lane and Fascinator, good to see you. Yeah, the sun is shining right on me. Yes, if you'd like to participate in the chat, you are more than welcome to. But if you'd like to just sit back wherever you are and do your thing quietly in your own space, that's okay too. What we're doing, right? I might be making art. You might feel like doing something different tonight. You might feel like making the same kind of art that I am, working with the same materials, which for me tonight, the theme I drew was fabric. You can work with fabric if you like. You can work with textiles. You can imagine a textile that you would like to create. You can repurpose, you can mend, you can do anything at all that has to do with fabric. Or you might want to do something completely different, and that's okay as well. Do what feels right for you. That is the Art Hive way, using whatever supplies or materials you happen to have on hand, and that might look like making dinner. It might look like wallpapering. I don't know. It might look like doing laundry, whatever it is. If it feels good, if it's helping you feel creative, if it's helping you ground yourself and get to a place where maybe you can imagine creating once again, that's okay. Go for it. Give it a try. And and lots of shout outs. Oh, thank you, Fascinator. Saying shout outs to you for being super lurker friendly. Hmm, lurker friendly. Interesting. Oh, hello, Sandra. Sandra, you are here. I see you. This is so for those of you who are maybe joining the live stream for the very first time. It's not like a Zoom. Maybe you don't do YouTube lives. Like, oh my gosh, this light. Whoa, I don't know what to do with this. I feel like I'm in like an interesting kind of independent film happening here. Let's just we'll pretend this is a choice, huh? This dramatic lighting that's going on. For those of you who might be doing the YouTube live for the first time, again, you're just watching me chat just like we used to do on the old platform there, and you can chat just like you're doing in the comments there. So I see you, Sandra, but I can't see you, Sandra. I'm imagining that you're there, and I know that you're there, and I'm happy to anyone who might be out there, even if you're not participating in the chat tonight. Just know that I'm glad that you're here, and I hope you're doing well. What else do I need to say about living room art hive life? Hmm. Hmm. I mean, I suppose the only other thing is if anything happens in this live stream that makes you feel weird or uncomfortable, and we have some tech help coming in to help with the light, so we don't have to pretend I'm.
So good.
Does it look okay? Whoa, there we go. That looks a little more. Thank you for that, Anthony. Anthony Granny, everyone.
Yay
Anthony
me.
Granny. It's so great to have a personal production team on hand. What can I say? Yes, taking care of yourselves, but also if I make you do, like if I make any comments or do anything that makes you feel weird or awkward, let me know. You may not want to call me out in the comments, but you can send me an email or a message and we can have a chat about it. I can learn how to be more supportive of you in our community. And you know what? If anything happens tonight in the live stream in the chat where I feel I need to, shine a light on it for the exact same purposes to help create a safer, braver space for folks who are out there, we will give it a go, right? Let's hold one another accountable and just do what we can to become better humans along the way, right? So I'm going to get creating. So I'm going to switch over to my next camera so you can see what I'm working on so far. Nothing too exciting. A piece of denim. But again, tonight's theme is coping. And fabric and coping, well, you can use any kind of creative supply you have to help get through, to help you cope. I mean, what is coping? How do you folks like to cope? What are the things your go-to things when you're needing what? To take care of yourself, to manage things, to help get yourself into a better feeling place, to reach for relief in a healthier way. And hello, Kit. Nice to see you here. Welcome to the live stream. And again, this is a theme we could talk about all evening because coping can mean so many, many different things to each of us. And why we cope. There are external things we have to cope with from day to day. There are external things we have to cope with. There are surprises. There are the things that we carry every single day along the way. There are the things that have been with us for a little while, maybe grinding us down a little bit. Yeah, there are surprises. And for anyone out there, because of this theme, just once again, please take care of yourself. Know that when it comes to having conversations and making art about coping, it's going to look like something different for each of us. And you may need to take some breaks. You may need to step back, and that's okay. You might also discover things in the process of the art you're making tonight that totally take you off guard, maybe for wonderful, positive reasons, maybe for, more complicated, difficult reasons. Again, take care of yourself. Reach out for supports if you need it. We have a wonderful chat here in the live stream. Hello, Farah. Lots of lovely resources in the room in the Hive for us this evening. So make sure you make use of those whenever you want or need to. I'll try to, turn the chat around and make sure that everyone hears or sees what's happening in the comments. And again, you can always send me a message or an email at info@livingroomcommunityartstudio.org. But fabric, let's move on to that for a moment. So fabric, again, it could be sewing, it could be stitching, it could be designing textiles, it could be stamping, it could be painting fabric, it could be mending, it could, I don't know, so many different kinds of things. It could be creating fabric, weaving, um, stitching, knitting, crocheting. All of these things are woven in, so to speak, to the textile arts, right? So if you're doing one of those things out there, let me know what it is. Needle felting, again, right? There's so many different things that are connected to this world. So if you have an interesting project on the go or even an uninteresting project on the go, let me know what you're working on because I'm always excited to hear about the projects out there in the community. If you're having difficulty with something and you'd like to get some help troubleshooting something. Again, fabulous resources. Oh, um, just let us know. Again, we have such an amazing group out here. Chances are someone knows how to work through something or has some ideas to inspire you along the way. Tonight's project is actually inspired by a paper project that I did a long time ago. So again, I'm just transferring creativity from one modality or medium to another. A long time ago, a few years ago now, in one of the live streams, I ended up creating something that was like a peekaboo piece with cardstock and watercolor paper, oil pastels, watercolors. And it was a really interesting process for me. And I think we've talked about it from time to time. I can't remember if it's in this new round of live streams or if it was before, but this idea of listening to your instincts when they are telling you to take a risk, to take a left turn, when you feel comfortable going in one direction, and yet you want to try something new, you want to break away from that. What if you go the other direction? What if you try to make something that takes you into that uncomfortable place, not in a dangerous way, not in a toxic way. I'm going to come back to this chat in a second. But what if you just take that path that is least taken and see where it takes you in art? Because art is a wonderful place to be able to try out those new things, right? To make mistakes, to take creative risks, whatever it might be. And tonight I'm going to experiment with that with this piece of fabric. I'm not sure what it's going to be. As so many live streams when I start out, I don't know what I'm going to create. I started working on this in the Zoom this morning. So that's what I was working on, if you can see it. Ooh, just a little fabric wrapped stone, right? But I wanted to get a little bigger and a little broader for this evening. So tonight I'm going to play with some inks. I'm going to do a little bit of dyeing on this fabric, and then we're going to get stitching. And so perhaps maybe like some pockets or something. That's the only thing I have that I'm going with tonight. Making a completely impractical work of art, not knowing where it's going to go. I'm going to let it surprise me along the way. And yeah, we'll see what happens together. I'm seeing in the chat there is some, Farah, thank you for sharing that vulnerabilities. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Uh, just we're talking about what we cope with, coping with anxiety, right? Oh, I forgot I don't need to open the lid up anymore. I put a little pinprick in the top of these, and now hopefully I can shake out some dye. Let's give it a go. Coping with anxiety, you are not alone. I am definitely in that place as well. And again, transitionals, when seasons transition, when they start shifting and shaking around a little bit, I don't know about anyone else, but I find out my anxiety gets stirred up a little bit more in those times. So even though we're heading towards the summer, we're coming out of a very dreary, well, at least for me, winter here in Oshawa. I'm, even though again, it should be this interesting, hopeful time, I'm feeling I'm feeling a lot of anxiety. I'm feeling anxiety for perhaps the things I can't control. I'm feeling anxiety. Oh, I can't see. It's so light. I can't see where that's gone. um, yeah, just different waves of anxiety for different things in life. And I think those changes in the seasons for me bring them out. And far as doing embroidery, so is that something that you do, Farah, to cope with the anxiety, to help regulate, to help self-soothe? I find for me, watercolor often does that. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can shake out a little bit more. Maybe I'll go to green. And I can't see it. I'm shaking out these tiny little bits of pigment here. Hopefully when it's dry, you'll be able to see it. And it could be just because the hole I've made is not big enough. So sometimes when self-regulation kind of experiences, the things that slow us down, at least I find that watercolor tends to slow me down, bring me into the present. Oh, so I'm not alone in the transitions, sometimes triggering anxieties. That's a good thing. Thank you for letting me know that. That's nice. It's always good to know that, you know, we're not alone in what we struggle in. And it's not always a struggle either. Sometimes my anxiety reminds me to take a break. My anxiety is information. I try to remember that with almost everything. Our emotions are feelings that help just point the direction, point in a direction to remind us of where we want to be, where we could be, maybe being, our emotions remind us of something we need to take stock of or pay attention to a little bit more. So for Farah saying, she says, I enjoy doing embroidery for helping to slow down. It can also be helpful to see how the embroidery piece comes together. Yeah, that sense of accomplishment, of being able to manage something when maybe there are other things in our life that feel or seem unmanageable. just the process of creativity can feel more manageable, can help us cope with things. And of course, there was a lovely reminder in the Zoom today of just how, oh, I'm going to open these up a little bit more. These tiny little pinprick holes might be good for smaller pieces or watercolor, but I want to see some more color. I'm reminded just the loveliness of the Art Hive life, the way of Art Hive, of coming together and sharing space with other people in a way that, where we can open up, where we can share these things, we don't have to hide what we're feeling. We can bring it into the space. I know that not every environment, not every work environment is that way for a lot of people. I was also reminded today of some stickers we made I guess a few years ago now. The Public Crying Collective stickers. I think we need to bring that back. We need to remind people that the public crying is okay. Reclaim that space for showing emotion. And then it makes me think, of course, what other kind of societies or collectives or cooperatives do we need to make or like create space for, just so we can remind ourselves, if no one else, just to give ourselves permission to feel, permission to experience what we need to experience in any given moment, wherever we are out in the world. The Public Crying Collective was one of those things. Bridget B helping with that. After many conversations about what it's like to, fight that feeling of being embarrassed when we're out in the world and, feeling things. We oftentimes just have that sort of sense of, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this, not here, not now, not in front of other people. Well, the Living Room Art Hive is here to say, why not? Why not feel those things? Let's get some orange out. And of course, with this, because I'm dampening it down, and I don't know if you can see the color here of the inks coming out. I'm going to be a little adventurous here, so that you won't really be able to see what's going on here until it's dry. I'm hoping for a kind of irregular, an irregular inky pattern that just blends in with the denim enough, almost like spilling paint on something. And again, don't ask me why, I just feel called to this. And maybe it was because I was thinking about watercolor, but I didn't want to work in that watercolor way. Just testing myself a little bit. I think for me, and again, still interested to know about what other people feel about coping, what coping looks like for them, any of the issues or challenges or thoughts you have about coping and using art or creativity to experience that sensation of coping. There's so many things we could talk about. But for me today, instead of going to the comfort zone that I normally go to, I just wanted to see, I don't know, I think making a mess was important to me. Sometimes I like creating really, oh, did I just inhale some pigmenting? So, woohoo! That's an interesting sensation. Safety first, folks. Don't don't do as I do. Do as I say. Be careful with yourselves. Mm. I think there are two extremes. Like embroidery for me is one of those things that helps me feel just, I got this. I can manage this. Like the little, fabric wrapped stone. Simple things that I can complete in a shorter period of time that allow me to feel like, okay, I'm in charge. I've got this. I can manage this. I think that's really important. And then tonight, on the other side of it, it's the what ifs. The what if I take a risk? Will I be okay? And the answer is yes. That's a wonderful thing that art and creativity can offer in many cases. Not all, but many. That I can explore, I can let it out, I can let the art hold the heavy stuff. And then I can walk away from it. That's another thing that art can do really, really well. You can create, you can let out all the stuff you don't want to carry anymore. And after you've finished creating something, you can walk away from it. So this may look yellow on camera, but this is a lovely emerald green. Oof, that's a lot. That's a lot. And it might look a little. These are the kind of pigments that I use and then wonder why my hands have turned a million different shades over the next few days. Just little bits of pigment showing up here, there, and everywhere. They're tiny, tiny crystals, crystal inked, that can make a terrific mess if you're not really careful about where they go. Yeah. So this theme of coping again, I'm always so impressed with how our creative community come together to cope, to create. Oh, you can see a little bit clear some of the colors that are beginning to poke through on the side, can't you? Just a little bit. I'm always so impressed by how people manage and how people find that the ability to keep moving forward. Because I was reminded again today when we talk about this idea of coping, oftentimes it is in this binary sense, like you're either coping or you're not coping. And I just want to rupture that a little bit as well, that it's not so much about that. It doesn't have to be about that. Coping is a process. Coping is, um, it's very much perhaps in its best place, its best times, its best states, about being in a state of flow, about being able to recognize that you will be okay. Eventually, you will be okay. Maybe in the moment, there's a lot to deal with, but this idea of coping being something that you do or you don't do, I'd like to invite us to consider breaking away from that and to remind each one of us that perhaps it's a process, something that is a state of being that we find balance with, or like a dance almost, moving around through our day. And maybe that's why I've chosen to work this way with fabric. Maybe it's because, if anything, fabric does provide a kind of flex to what we do and how we are in life. And although it can be unpredictable at times as a surface to work on, I'm fascinated. I'm just fascinated by all the things we can do with it, all the different things we can do with fabric. And here's another shout out to Anthony. Fascinator saying, speaking of Anthony, I recently had a look at your updated reel. Oh, yes, Anthony's been very busy. Anthony has some extraordinary projects that they've recently completed and a few more that they're moving into in the next year. Of course, I'm a bit biased, but I love it whenever Anthony works on anything to do with arts. And if you haven't had a chance to watch the National Ballet School of Canada's recent short film called Dancer, Not Dementia, I recommend checking it out. Ah, beautiful, beautiful work by Anthony Granny and his team, and the folks, of course, at the National Ballet School of Canada. Um, it's beautiful, vibrant, heartfelt, smart, just so, so lovely. So shout out to Anthony. Thank you. Yeah. I love that. And I'll pass that on to Anthony if he's not on the live stream right now. That keep up the great work. He will. Don't worry. He will. There's so many amazing stories to be told out there. And I think that's part of the excitement about being a filmmaker is finding those stories, any kind of storyteller, regardless of how you tell stories, how you choose to tell your story. There's so many ways to tell it. So many ways. Interesting. So, Fascinator saying 25 plus years acting, anything to celebrate? A milestone? Me? What? Is that for me? I love being an actor. I love it so, so much. Uh, not a whole, actors, we just keep going, don't we? We just keep storytelling. I'm doing some fun stuff with Driftwood Theater, a theater company, uh, and GTA area. They have a fundraiser coming up that I'm super excited about. It's a Dungeons and Dragon fundraiser and Shakespearean. So what Jeremy Smith, the artistic director of the company, has done is written a number of campaigns, or this will be the second one that we've done, where these lovely characters from Shakespeare's worlds are pulled into quests and adventuring together. And along the way, of course, encounter all sorts of interesting other characters from Shakespeare's world. I'm not describing it very well, but I will be playing Joan of Arc in that campaign. So that's a fun, interesting thing to play with, storytelling and acting. And I suppose a celebration of sorts. So thank you. Keep up the great work to me as well, says Fascinator. You know what? I will take that and I will put it in my pocket because any artist in Canada, as you know, it can be a difficult place to be. All right, one more burst of, let's see if I want to find some leafy green. Let's see if leafy green shows up on this. Yeah. And making new stories again along the way. I think coping, again, as an artist, one of the other things artists do to cope is we create. We create our own projects, we create our own paths. And oh, that's a lot. That's a lot of color there. Let's see. So I think one of the things I'm doing right now to help cope when I feel that sense of creative drain, as a lot of artists might, is we try to protect the time to get back to that creative place where we can find, again, speaking of that feeling of having some kind of control in a world that often feels beyond us. And writing, directing, producing, all of those things provide that feeling of, oh, wait, I got this. I am an artist. I'm not just waiting for the phone to ring. I'm not just waiting for someone to tell me I'm a success or that I've made it or that my work is worthy. We cultivate that within ourselves. And I think that's something that a lot of folks out there, if again, I'm a bit biased, but I think that's something that artists, people who have worked a little longer in the field or have pursued it in a slightly different way, I think that's something we can teach, we can share, we can model for other folks. That we can give ourselves permission to be artists, that we can give ourselves permission to create just because we can, not because anyone's waiting on us to do something, but just because it brings us joy, because it brings us a sense of wholeness in who we are. Because otherwise it can get really frustrating just waiting for the rest of the world to give you permission. All right. I'm going to take a break here and I'm going to start just playing with other pieces of textiles over top of this. I was experimenting with some stitch work on this before. All right, Mary, so what do you want to do with this now? What else do we have here? Going to throw over some other scraps, some pieces of paper I have. I've got a ton of embroidery thread here as well, and some regular sewing thread. That's so interesting. So Fascinator saying, now that I think about it, it's been forever since I last wore a denim. The last time I wore one was in school. The jeans with school logo on the back were part of the regular school uniform. Wow. I guess, that might prevent me from wearing denim if I had to wear it every single day of my life for a certain period of time. A lot of folks might have an interesting relationship with denim. I love rescuing it. I love thrifting it. Takes a lot of water to create denim. So as we lead up to Earth Day or whatever's coming our way with this, I think the 22nd, maybe? If you're watching this later on, this time period, and this would have been streamed in April. Definitely try and thrift my denim and capture all these little pieces whenever I can for repairs, for projects like this. It's always interesting to see what I've got stashed away. Try to be a little spontaneous with this. And I know there are some other folks out there in the community that enjoy thrifting their denim as well. Any little bit, every little bit helps. I have a friend who referred to some of the textile work that she does as fabric collage. So I think that's a little bit of what I'm doing tonight too. Just creating with fabric, seeing where it takes me, collaging with these pieces. Trying not to think about it too much. And if some of this dye, maybe I'll go over some of these areas after and add some more dye. And Fascinator following up with some more stories, schoolyard stories. Somehow I was able to get away with regular store jeans until I was caught. At least I was allowed to wear PE pants on non-PE days. Thus, I wore PE uniform as my regular uniform until graduation. Isn't that it? Like interesting relationships. Talking about coping, sometimes we have to cope with unusual things just as the day to day growing up. Oftentimes, I would say for a lot of folks, that sounds like one of those things you had to cope with. Figuring out, figuring out a way to get out of that denim. And of course, everyone dresses up on school photo day, or they try to, or they're made to. I think I wish I had a few more photos of just me in my normal school wear. I think it would be a little bit embarrassing, but I think that's half the point of having school photos taken. And far as saying I was an old Navy's, I was on an old Navy's website, not you, you were on an old Navy's website looking for jeans. They were going to be, about $40, but I had to go to the thrift store for another reason, and I found the exact same pair for $8. There we go, folks. Always try thrifting. Thrifting first. It is ridiculous how much water denim takes to create, whether you're talking about the growing process of the cotton and then the dyeing and the weaving of the fabric and all of that, the softening of the fabric. It's a little obscene. It's a lot obscene, to tell you the truth. So we do what we can with what we have, and we have an abundance of thrift stores here. So might as well make the most out of them. And Fascinator wants to make sure that everyone is nothing against denim, though. Nothing against denim, of course not. Well, how we dress is such a huge part, especially when, in for any of us growing up, has so much to do with identity or who we want to be or who we worry about being in front of other people. So I can understand that sense of, well, I don't understand exactly, but I suppose there are two sides to that story, or many sides, but two of the obvious sides that get spoken of most often are that it's better and healthier and easier for youth if they don't have to decide what to wear, if everyone's wearing the same thing, versus the having to compete and be on top of fashion and the pressure, to perform in that way. But each of us will find a way of showing who we are, one way or another, through what we wear, because that's part of the art of humaning, the creative art of humaning and becoming in the world, and finding a way to make our mark and get through and create those little moments for ourselves that make us happy. Oh, lovely. And Farah saying just, and you are so embroidering. So from the thrift store, you got the jeans, which is great, and a denim jacket. And that's what Farah is embroidering on tonight. A jean jacket that you got from the same trip to the thrift store. Fantastic. And then Fascinator saying, well, to be fair, things are pretty cheap in Pakistan. That's right. You are far, far, far afield. Different world in many, many ways. And a lot of ways, almost all the ways. Culturally speaking, and access, I imagine, to a lot of different things. This world we're in here is overwhelming, and cost is one of those things. Let's see, what am I going to do with this right now? I'm liking this so far. I'm going to start stitching so that by the end of this, I have something to show, because sometimes I get talking too much and I don't create as much as I want. So let's get doing this. Hmm. Let's see. And so Farah is embroidering. Fascinator, what are you working on? Are you working on anything right now? Maybe plans for something? If anyone else is sharing, if you feel like sharing what you're working on, talking about it, feel free to throw it in the chat. If not, that's okay. I like that the theme of fabric has been carried through. I like that we have some folks out there who are embroidering this morning. We had some fabric flower making going on. We had some drawing and design work inspired by textiles. We had some beautiful and honest and moving conversations just about what it's like. And yes, I am untangling embroidery thread. That's what I'm doing right now in this live stream. This might take the whole rest of the hour. It's some really lovely, honest conversations just about, the things in everyday life that humans struggle with, that sometimes it's difficult, that difficulties coping with loss, grief, heartbreak, all the different ways and shapes and forms that, that the little pains of life come along in, and how we deal and how we can deal, because it's not always easy. And that's why I brought up that sense of coping, not being a binary thing, not having to be an either or situation, because what emerged from today was that oftentimes we do our best and that's what we do. We try, we make space for ourselves to feel things, and we make space for what has yet to happen. As Jean Van Heeswyck would say, we move towards the not yet, which I really love that phrase. I love that idea of making space for the possible. Hmm. Oh, yes. So back to what people are doing. And for recognizing embroidery thread is no joke. Oh my goodness. It will put you in your place. Puts me in my place every single time, no matter how I think I might be on top of it. Embroidery thread teaches me a lesson or two. And Fascinator just saying there, oh, once the 3D modeling bit is done, you have to contend with gauges, which introduces me to some more simulating work, the 3D cockpit model. Oh my goodness. Yep, the cargo plane continues. Wow. Again, these fascinating forms of creation, which we were also talking about today, the different forms of using different ways we use technology and finding ways to appreciate technology in a world of fine arts, not that this is fine arts at all, but sometimes within the world of creative arts, fine arts becomes this strange reference point, the goal, the place where we want to be, which isn't always the case and shouldn't be the case, isn't the place for me. Um, but this place where if it is not that, then it is nothing at all, or um, you're somehow measured against this idea of somebody's idea of perfection, perfection, which is often determined, you know, in very specific ways related to how much something is of value. But there's so much we can learn from the creativity that goes in to designing the machinery and the codes, with everything that helps create things through digital or technology. There's so much there. And we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of that and learn how to appreciate it. And it is a lot of times younger folks who are leading the way there, at least for me. All right, let's see. I might switch needles. This is, oh, it gets the job done. I think I want this embroidery to be a little bit messy if I had my way, and I might afterwards return to the sewing machine just to give it some really rough, quick and ready, just like run over it, all over it with the machine, just to create some texture, some pattern. And maybe I will switch needles just for that sake so I can pull this through a little bit more effectively. What have I got over here? Boop, 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 boop. Nope, that's a beading needle. I'm not ready for any beads just yet. Oh yeah, let's see if that one does the trick. Yeah, let's see what that one does. Oh, that's interesting. So Fascinator sharing pictures. Yeah, we'd love to see some of what you're working on with. So if you've been tuning into the live streams, you've been hearing a little bit about Fascinator's developments with designing the plane, I believe, or a simulator to go with, like, I'm not even sure exactly. There's so many components to what you're doing. Um, but we do post a kind of show and tell picture of what we create in the live stream, usually the day after. If you are out there and you'd like to share a picture or a link or perhaps a reference image, something that has helped you in your creative journey, please feel free to post it with our show and tell. Post it in the comments, shine a light on what you do and the kind of creativity you enjoy. And the truth is, you just never know who it will inspire. You might be opening up a window for someone who has been looking at what we've been doing in the studio, what I've been doing here, and thinking that they don't belong. You just never know. You might be making it possible. You might be making it possible for someone else to see themselves in this art hive space. And that's an important thing. It's important for folks to see themselves in this space. So yes, please to pictures. Yes, please to links. Shine a light on what it is you do and why you do it. So here we are working on this strange, I'm not sure what I call this. Is it a quilt? Is it a pocket? A panel? Don't know yet. As I'm making these stitches, I'm feeling I'm feeling a pocket call coming on. I feel like this is something that should maybe hold something. So maybe I'll work with these other longer strips in a slightly different way. Maybe it's the theme that's bringing that around. So what happens when we create space for something? Maybe space to hold something, to help cope. I think like a lot of folks out there, for me, textiles bring a sense of comfort because of their tactile quality, the softness around them. And that's an important thing to recognize why you enjoy working with something not essential, but I think it's a good thing if you can connect that and make those links for yourself. And Fascinator saying, wait, what? Wait, you'll be making a show and tell post on Facebook? So yes, we follow up almost every live stream, not the same night now that we're doing it here. Um, but if you go and you visit our Facebook page, we usually post a picture of how this, whatever it is that I was working on, how it turned out. And I like thanking everyone for joining us in whatever way they could, whatever capacity they could. This is a busy time of year for a lot of different reasons, for a lot of different people, and not everyone can make the live streams when they are live. But I always appreciate everyone who can be here in whatever way you can be here. So, yes. And we invite people, you can also share it, and then in the comments, you can share links to whatever you've been working on or images to what you've been working on. Ah, so Fascinator having a few more ideas saying this could be a part of a fancy purse that a local made and is selling in a flea market. I can only imagine. Well, hey, why not? I think I must have made something like this as a bag, as a purse in the past. Must have. But if I make this as a base, then I can keep working on it. I can keep noodling away on it. Let me move this over just for a time being. And I do love layering up textiles. I know what I need here. I need a thimble. So, yes. So, if you're looking for posts that the living room makes, definitely recommend checking your settings if you're not seeing stuff from us anywhere. Here on YouTube, you can click the notify button for live streams so you get little reminders when we're about to start a live stream. On any other platforms, I'm sure there's ways. Just double check to make sure if you're frustrated or upset that if you're not seeing all the things we post, just double check those settings so you can make sure you get them. And that way you shall. As the summer approaches, as the warmer months arrive, we'll be doing a whole lot more out in the community and hopefully posting a lot more to keep everyone in the loop about what we're doing. We're excited to get back out there with the broader community in general, and we'll be keeping up with things like this as well. Although the schedule may change depending on what's going on. You'll see. We'll keep you in the loop. Okay. Okay, embroidery thread. It's grumpy at me because I didn't follow through. Oh, I didn't pull out the little tails there. All right, I'll just use the whole thing. And there I go, talking to my embroidery thread again. So, what time is it now? Oh, yeah, I guess, wow, this time just flies by every night I'm here. But if you're just joining us now, or you'd like to learn a little bit more what we're working on, tonight we're working with fabric or textiles, and the theme that I selected to work as inspiration was coping. So having little conversations inspired by the Zoom meeting that we had earlier today, just about what coping means to us, how we use art to cope, whether coping is about management, whether coping has to do with being kind to ourselves, loving to ourselves, making space for what hasn't happened yet, what might be, as we move through taking care of ourselves, reach for relief, do the best that we can with what we have to be the kind of okay that we want to be. Coping can look like so many different things. Coping can be about discovering your resilience. There's so many things. It doesn't always have to be about difficult things. Sometimes it's about recognizing, Holy heck, I made it. I did this thing. I am here and everything is okay. That's something to celebrate. And Farah say, "Oh, hello, Laura. Oh, Farah. Oh, hello, Laura. I'll come in a second." And Farah's saying Facebook definitely decides for us and it's pretty presumptuous. So this we're talking about algorithms and all that kind of stuff again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with the lovely, lovely world of social media, all the medias, even this one here, if you find something you love, you know what? We can do our best to be a bit proactive about it and just check in from time to time. And the truth is, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not upset if you're not checking in with us every single day. You've got a life. You're busy doing your own thing. You're busy taking care of yourself and coping. So I'm not about to be angry with anyone for missing things or not being everywhere with us as we do the things. But if that's something that you would like for yourselves, just to check in. And if there's a notification button or a subscription button, anything that makes it a little easier, a little more manageable, can't be a bad thing, right? And Laura's saying, hello. Hello, Laura. I'm painting a rock. A friend gave me, Laura says. It has lots of smooth surfaces and is perfect for painting. Figured I can use it as a bookend on my bookshelf. Wow, so that sounds like a substantial rock. More than the little one that I was working with today when I was doing that stitching. That sounds great. Rock painting is, well, it's in our hat. We'll see what happens when I draw it, but oh, it feels good. Yeah, painting, working with the earth in any way always feels good. It feels grounding. And is it grounding for you? That's it. That's my assumption there, that for me it's grounding, which is in itself a coping mechanism to ground oneself when feeling stressed or just feeling up in the air, feeling like not quite present in the way I want to be. Working with the earth, whether that's working with the stone, right? Something you can hold on to that you can feel that just takes you back to the thing that is literally supporting us. But that sounds like a nice rock. Substantial if it can be a bookend. So yeah, if you feel like sharing that after we make our post tomorrow on Facebook, please do. Love to see people's projects when they are coming, when they were nearing. Oops, hello, woo! Love to see people's projects as they come closer to being what they want to be. All right, so you don't like going through wet denim? Fine, fine embroidery thread. What evs? So this is where maybe I can talk about it being messy. Ah ha ha. Just had to be a little firm with it there. That's a lovely gift from a friend as well. All right. Let's flip this over and then I'm going to move on to the next. What are we calling these pockets? They are feeling like pockets to me, Fascinator. Don't know why exactly. Hmm. Hmm. So I'm going to stagger this pocket then. And hopefully I can have a few more in there before the end of this live stream. And if anyone else is having a difficult night, if you are in a place where you are having difficulty coping, I just want to remind you that you don't have to do it on your own. If we can be a resource to you and help you connect with someone or something that can help you through, if you want or need that little extra bit of something, let us know. But you probably already have a whole bunch of coping mechanisms on your own too. Lots of lovely skills that you've developed over time. And sometimes we forget that we have as many skills as we do until we take a moment to reflect on them. It's like looking back over a life and remembering all the Joe jobs that you've had, or, you know, when you're asked to write a CV out or something and you realize, oh my gosh, I did do that. I did do that. Wow, I did that and that and that. Sometimes just taking a moment to take stock of everything you already have within you that can help you do the thing you need to do. And the most important thing each one of us has to do is to take care of ourselves, to be there, to show up for ourselves as much as we can. But if you need some guidance, some assistance, or just having trouble accessing those things of yourself, we'll help you through. We'll help you get to a place where you can cope on your own again. Just let us know. Send us an email, send us a message, and we'll get back to you. And in this live stream, there are plenty of people here who also know and have lots of fantastic resources for you and who've been through difficult things themselves. And I'm sure knowing our fantastic community, they can help point you in some kind of right direction. But let's see. Yeah, fascinating. This could look some good-looking pockets here. Yeah, this interesting pockets for something unique, something special. Don't know what exactly, but we'll figure it out along the way. Maybe some pens, some paintbrushes. Maybe this will become a pocket on a smock or an apron that I'm making. Help me cope with the many different things, the bits and pieces I have that I always end up putting in my hair for some reason or behind my ear. Lately, I've been storing paintbrushes in my hair now that it's grown out a bit, and I just have this messy kind of bun, and then at the end of the day, I'll be pulling paintbrushes out of my hair and pencils and who knows what else. And Laura, oh, so the rock your friend gave you, it's not a huge rock, but just big enough to support a few books. Oh, well, it's a starter rock. You'll work your way up to larger and larger rocks. When we were on campus with the Mobile Art Hive this last week, um, a lot of schools seem to have like not rock gardens, but just, heaps of rocks where students tread where they shouldn't over grass. And that's how I guess you make those barren corners manageable. You fill them up with rocks. When we have leftover paint at the end of the day, we just start painting them. And we just use up all the extra paint in painting the rocks on campus. So if you're ever on, campus in Durham region and you happen to see some painted rocks lying around, they're probably from us. Nothing better than painting a rock at the end of the day. And Fascinator saying, harkening back to the music thing we talked about 2 streams ago. Yes, that's right. Listening to music, Fascinator says, does help, especially in my you're gonna have to help me here with the initials FS add-on development work, I'm assuming. Yeah, music came up today this morning in the Zoom as well. What a powerful coping mechanism and grounding force it is. And it is, isn't it? It absolutely is. So I think maybe we should start another playlist for the living room. We have a celebration playlist. Maybe we'll start, what do we want to call it? Maybe not a coping playlist. That feels a little too serious. And coping can look like a lot of different things for folks. But let me know if you have an idea of what kind of playlist would be a good playlist to go to when perhaps we felt the need for grounding or self-care or inspiration. What should that list be called? Um, so listening to music helps, absolutely. And Fascinator says other times you'd walk around the house in circles to kill some time and brainstorm random things aside from exercise. So the walking isn't about exercise. It's that sounds to me like an active meditation. That idea of just mindfully moving and letting yourself find things, discover things in the moment. So the intention is set, but you're letting your brain play. It's not like an assignment. It's just trusting this movement, keeping in movement, which is an interesting thing. It helps for me as well. It helps my brain move when I go for a long walk and I don't necessarily have to be going anywhere and like specifically just walking for the sake of walking for movement. And then the ideas come, don't they? It's true. I love that. Ah, interesting. So Fascinator with a great idea. If that thing you're working on were the back of a smartphone, you could add in a pocket for a little versatility. So, yeah. Oh, so you don't mean phone cases. So Fascinator saying, for example, we have phones made with leather backs for style. Interesting. and then helping me understand what FS means in that conversation, flight simulator. So I'm going to call everything you do flight simulation, uh, just because it is, I'm going to need to study up. But again, that fabulous creativity. Folks, what do you do to help you cope, to help in those moments where you need or want to feel what? What is it we're trying to achieve when we cope? That's a question. Are we looking to feel something? Are we looking not to feel something? Are we looking to find something within ourselves? Coping is a big theme, a bigger theme than I thought it would be. Perhaps it has something to do with resourcefulness, with digging for resources, with seeking something to help us to the next, to a place we want to be, which could be feeling, but it could also be completing a task. Interesting. Where does coping take us? What is it that we're looking for? It's an interesting theme. Slow stitching, bringing me around. Thank you for your fascinators. Thank you for your understanding, fascinator. It's one of those things that happens when we talk to, you're an expert in your field, you're someone who knows a whole lot about something specific. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm imagining there's got to be someone else out there that gets that world. If you do, let us know. And Farah's saying, oh, I thought, okay, interesting. So I thought of pick me up, but then I thought that maybe that's assuming people want to feel better right away. So this is a name for our playlist. So a pick me up playlist, that is not a bad thing because maybe we can be clear about it and say, it doesn't have to pick you up right away. Like coping, that I like, if we break away from that binary idea of either coping or not coping and look at it like a constellation, then perhaps it's not about feeling better right away or picking yourself up right away or being picked up right away, but just gradually lifting, being able to imagine lifting yourself up. Because I think that's an important part of the project or process is being able to visualize somehow that right now it's not always necessarily going to be like this. That's a nice thing to be able to remember. I think an important thing, like weather. The way it is right now, things will pass. Things will move on. And if we're struggling right now, we're not always going to be struggling. Although we might have new challenges that we face on any given day. Woof. Oh, excellent. So Fascinator saying, so I'm basically on. So this is again. Oh, another idea of okay, so this is another coping thing. So Fascinator suggesting how it's made. It's a show. I watch one clip and then I can't stop watching more. And Farah's familiar with this as well. Interesting. Am I familiar with this? I feel I must be. I feel I must be. I'm gonna have to double check that I'm thinking of the same thing that you're thinking of. So I will look into this, how it's made. But Farah likes it as well. That's the best show ever, apparently. Ah, interesting. And the fact that the official Discover UK and Science channels uploading segments makes it even more tempting. And it's something that folks can watch on YouTube. So this is an excellent sounding show on YouTube, maybe on mainstream TV as well. But this, I do love, yeah, learning about the insides of things, how things work, why they work the way they do, and being able to see the art in everything and the ideas and the ingenuity of humankind. That we can create and we can create our way through things, around things, under things. And sometimes we can create ways to be with things that aren't ready to move yet, that aren't ready to budge yet. Another way of coping, just to learn how to be with something. That's lovely. Thank you for the recommendation. Oh, and Farah, just jumping back a little bit there. So, yeah, so instead of pick me up playlist, perhaps it's an in my feelings playlist. Yeah, we'll play with it. We'll workshop it. We'll figure it out. But I think, yeah, songs, music, and there might be a crossover with the celebration playlist that we made, but music that helps lift us up, music that reminds us that things are possible, that things can get better. Sometimes that it's okay to be where you are and feel what you feel. Having a good cry can be a really beautiful, resilient thing. Just revisiting some of that from our earlier in the live stream. That being vulnerable is okay. That oftentimes if we listen to or acknowledge what we're feeling, it helps take us to a different place. So public crying encouraged whenever possible. Permission to feel what you need to feel. Okay, this is great. Fascinator saying, just reverting to, just revisiting the how it's made. You remember when the first couple of seasons were based more in Canada? Really? Was it now? Was it now? But as time went on and went further abroad, even as far as Thailand, so it's everywhere. They're exploring the creativity and ingenuity of peoples everywhere. I definitely love that. And of course, Fascinator saying, I'm amazed that 2 decades have passed and they are yet to run out of ideas. And that's the thing, right? We will never, as humans, run out of ideas. There are a million ideas. The only limitation sometimes is our ability to keep up with everything we want to accomplish and finding the patience and compassion for ourselves so that we know that it's okay. We don't have to do everything at once, that we won't be able to do everything at once. Hey, that's another coping mechanism, one that I have to use on a daily basis, reminding myself that it's okay to not do everything, that I'm not going to finish everything and I don't have to, that there always will be another day, another opportunity for someone to work through something. So now we've got some interesting okay, a new playlist on the living room's old Spotify account, perhaps, and some TV and YouTube references, some recommendations for folks. And as tonight wraps up, as we come towards the end of this live stream, and again, look at this. It always amazes me. I amaze myself with how little I'm able to achieve. Again, that inner critic just, chiming in really loudly there. Okay, but I want to remind folks to give yourselves, and I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to try my best to give myself permission to be kind to myself, to remind myself that not everything has to be done all at once, that we can take our time. And I think I will carry this with me tomorrow. So if you're looking for a show and tell post on the old Facebook page, look for it probably much later in the day, maybe even Friday morning. So I think I do want to spend some time with this. So what else can I do with this? There's so much I can do with this. And I definitely don't want to rush this. And if you have something that you'd like to share, know that you can as well. When that Facebook post goes up, that show and tell post, then that's the time where you can take a picture or a link, or perhaps our conversation has sparked other ideas or things you want to highlight or recommend for people. This little fabric collage I'm making, not exactly sure what it is, to tell you the truth. But in the end, when I look at it, let's see what happens when I look at it. Definitely getting a fabric collage vibe going on here. I like the idea of the pockets and of holding something, and perhaps these pockets won't hold anything at all. Maybe they will hold, or maybe they'll hold secrets. Maybe they'll hold things I don't want to hold in my own head anymore. Maybe I can write down little messages and tuck them in the pockets and let them be like live there forever. Maybe I'll make some loops and I'll hang this on my wall as a little keepsake thingamajigger. Maybe it'll go on an apron as a pocket. I don't know. We shall see. Whatever it is, it's at its beginning stages. It hasn't even begun to move towards the not yet. It is just becoming what it will be in the process of becoming. So, if you are in that place as well, I invite you to spend some time there just being with yourself, acknowledging whatever it is you might be feeling or not feeling yet, trying to be kind to yourself with wherever you're at in your journey, and whatever coping means or looks like to you, whatever kind of coping you hope for the people in your life that you love, that you want to see enjoying things, being able to be at peace with things just a little bit more. I invite you to be kind to yourself first in that process, to do what you need to do to take care of yourself, and to know that you are a work in progress, so anything is possible, no matter where you are right now. And I think that's kind of nice. I'm glad that you've been able to take some time to spend time in that place, wherever that place is for you, with me tonight. Thank you for that. And thank you for everyone for the chats and the comments and the suggestions. Oh, I see a suggestion there for Lost Girl. Yeah. There's lots of wonderful folks out there in our community. I feel very lucky, very privileged to be able to spend time with you. If you do want to share your art with us, look for that show and tell piece. If you'd like to support the Living Room, you're more than welcome to on Coffee or Canada Helps if you'd like that tax receipt, that charitable tax receipt. But the only thing that you are absolutely required to do, not the boss of you, is to do your best to take care of yourself wherever you're at right now, with whatever kind of coping skills you have. Remembering to be kind to my friend. And hopefully, as we move through the night or tomorrow or the morning or the day or wherever it is, whenever it is that you're watching this, you'll feel yourself just opening up, making space for new possibility within your life. And you know what? I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your art making time. Keep on creating. And I'll see you again here next week, again on a Wednesday night, with a new theme and a new medium to work with. In the meantime, take care, everyone. Thank you for being here. And have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your art making time. Bye.